Today I'm going to show you how to make your own homemade granola bars using the Pampered Chef Snack Bar Maker set. So we're going to start by toasting some old-fashioned oats and some walnuts. And I love the idea of these no-bake granola bars because first of all, they're no-bake because the temperatures are increasing. I want a nice snack, but I don't want to heat up my house. But I also love them because I get to control the ingredients that go in. So we're going to make walnut craisin granola bars. I'm going to start by using the manual food processor to make my little walnut pieces just a bit smaller. If you've never used one of these manual food processors, it is so much fun. This is like playtime for me. It's great to do your veggies. You're doing like a strawberry puree for a dessert. But I love this. We also call this the no tears onion chopper because you put in your onion chunks and process it, and you are not going to be boo-hooing over your food. So I've got this pretty finely processed, and I'm going to add about 1.5 cups of oats into my micro cooker. Inside my micro cooker are little lined measurements. So I'm just going to eyeball that, and I'm going to add those walnuts. I'll give it a little stir. And this is a little shortcut I'm doing because, like I said, I don't want to heat my house. I could lay these out on a sheet pan and bake them, or I could even cook them on the stovetop with a skillet. But instead, I am going to put these in the microwave for about 3 minutes. And I'm going to start actually with 1 minute on the timer and then do this in like 30-second intervals. So that way I can stir. So the same pieces of oats are not at the top or at the bottom and getting charred. So let me show you what comes with the Snack Bar Maker set. The Maker tray is this great silicone, real flexible tray with 12 cavities, I guess is the word, for 12 snack bars. And today I'm going to make them all uniform. But if you're cooking with your kids, divide them out and let each child do their own type of snack bar. If you wanted to make a baked version of this granola bar, then you can totally do that with this maker because it's silicone. It'll go into the oven. So you can actually bake some of these at 350. Then it has a lid. This is not oven safe, but it is freezer safe. And it pops right on. So if you wanted to use the lid for storage, instead of storing your bars in a bag or another container, you can leave them right here. But this is also what you'll cover when you put them in the freezer. So our first minute is up. And this, I can smell these walnuts. They're smelling good. It's starting to bring out some of the liquid in the walnuts and the oats. So it's creating a nice like steam. So it's like a little sauna. I'm going to put it back in the microwave. And we're going to cook this for, I'm going to do just 30 seconds this time. So the Snack Bar Maker set also comes with this really cute nylon spatula in that same teal color. And we'll use this in a minute to press down our bars as well as to scoop out. And I love the bright colors. So we will get those toasted. We're going to mix up some ingredients, freeze them, and then I am going to add a little bit of a sweet treat to this. And I'll tell you that in a sec. Let me give these a stir. So I am going to use our chocolate drizzler, and make a little chocolate ganache to drizzle on the top of these bars once they're frozen or set. They won't be totally solid frozen because they only have to go in for 15 minutes. So this is a really good way, maybe something that you want to make in the evening right before dinner and use this as dessert. Or if you are home for about an hour before you have to head out to the baseball field or a soccer game on a Saturday morning, make these up before you go. So I want to show you on the inside this cooker that it is steaming from the liquid off the walnuts. My walnuts were previously in the freezer to preserve their flavor so they don't get stale. So I'll put that in just a little bit longer. When we make our mixture, I thought about putting chocolate chips in the granola bars because that's my family's favorite, are chocolate chip granola bars. However, because we've been toasting these oats, they're going to be warm and I don't want them to melt my chocolate chips. So instead, I'm opting to do the drizzle. If you want to add your chocolate chips in, let your oats completely cool before doing the mix-ins. And if you wanted to do this on the stovetop in a skillet, you would just use your nonstick skillet and spread out your oats in a thin layer and let them toast for about 6 to 8 minutes. Give them a stir every now and then so nothing gets burned. Let me grab batter bowl. That way you can see through here and you can see everything that we're going to mix. Now this is the classic batter bowl and it's actually the classic design. Pampered Chef has updated their design so that the shape of the bowl is a little more conducive to stacking, as is the handle. So the handle here, you can see how it connects. On the new ones, there's no connection. It's easier to grab a hold of, but it also is really good because if you take the smaller one and stack it in there, it'll sit upright. These also come with a lid. So if I wanted to mix in maybe like cookie dough or filling for a breakfast casserole, I could do that the night before, cover it, and then pull it out of the fridge and add it to my cookie sheet or add it to my casserole dish. Okay, these are getting a really nice toasty smell. And can you hear as I'm stirring them? Nice and crisp. That manual food processor does such a good job of processing these walnuts really finely. There are no large chunks mixed in with my oats, which I like because it's a good way. I mean, you're not going to take a bite and have this massive piece of walnut. And if a walnut is an allergy, you can throw in cashews, you can do pecans, you can eliminate the nuts altogether and do process some banana chips. You could just do cranberries. Like I said, you could do the milk chocolate. Just make sure that your oat mixture is cooled completely before you add your chocolate chips in. Okay, that ought to do it for toasting. I'm going to put these in our batter bowl. And notice I didn't add any oil to this because we are about to mix together a tablespoon of coconut oil and a tablespoon of brown sugar with a 1/4 cup of agave. You could use honey. And this is going in the microwave for 1 minute until it is really, really melty and bubbly. That mixture of brown sugar oil and agave or honey is what is going to hold together your granola bars. So if your microwave maybe heats under a little bit, add some time to it. Mine is really good. It gets really hot fast. So 1 minute, and that ought to be pretty close to bubbly. And I'll mix it in with my oats and my walnuts. And I did about a half cup of walnuts. When you do your add-ins, you'll want 1 cup total for every cup and a half of oats. And that will fill these wells in really nicely. And I'm going to show you a little cheater technique. When we get ready to fill these in, I'm just going to use my cookie scoop. And a couple to 2 to 3 of these cookie scoops will fill these wells. And then we'll press it down with our cute teal nylon spatula. We'll see if this is bubbly yet. Oh, yeah. I don't know if you can see those bubbles. Okay, I'm terrified that I'm going to spill this on the counter. So it is bubbly and sizzling. Woo! Yes, it is. So if you're making these with your kids, that part you need to do because that just bubbled and you can see the steam coming up off of that. But I want to incorporate all of that with my oats. Then I'm going to add in a half a cup of craisin, some dried cranberries, and mix that in really well. You can also do a melted chocolate candy bar. So instead of oats, you could use chocolate chips and a little bit of coconut oil, melt that, and then maybe lay down some strawberries, lay down some banana chips, you could crack some sea salt into the well. You could do sweetened coconut flakes and then drizzle your chocolate in there, freeze that. That one you'll need to freeze for probably a good hour, maybe even overnight, just to make sure they're solid. Then you'll have your own candy bars. So if you can't do dairy, then you can get some of the dairy-free chocolate chips and make your own candy bar. All right, so that is really well mixed. So now I'm going to take my cookie scoop, do a couple generous scoops in each one of these cavities, and it's going to make a little bit of a mess. We'll clean it up. There are 12 wells for 12 bars, and these are going to be the perfect size to go in a little snack size baggie. Throw that in your lunch, put them in your purse. So if you're going out, if you're like me, when you go out and you start to get hangry, you need a little snack. Clean this up a little bit because I couldn't distinguish between each side. So I'm going to flatten these, and I'm putting quite a bit of pressure because I want my granola bar to hold together. I don't want this to just crumble even after it has set. And my scoops are maybe a little bit too generous because I'm seeing that they are overflowing. And if that's the case, then I can always just take the top off of it and scoot it over to the next well. If you make these at home and you see that your bars are still crumbly, that they're not adhering well, then add a little bit more brown sugar and agave to your oat mixture, because that is what's holding all of this together. And my agave is pretty thin, It's just an organic agave. And so it might be that I need to do part agave, part honey. So that way the thickness of that honey really helps makes a glue. All right. Yeah, that one was really generous. And here's what I love about this. Let's say that I were to completely botch this whole thing. I can just, because it's silicone, I just put it right back in my bowl and start over. All right, so let's put just one scoop here. And if you don't need to make a full dozen of these, then you don't have to. In fact, my mixture may not quite make a full dozen because I didn't accurately measure my oats. I just kind of eyeballed it, throwing it into that micro cooker. But you could be precise and do exactly a cup and a half, more or less. And because these only take 15 minutes to set up, you can very easily do more than one batch in one setting. Ooh, that one's starting to come together and pop out. Okay, so I'm going to finish assembling these, cover them with the plastic cover, and then stick them in the freezer. Once I'm done with that, then I will come back and show you how to make the chocolate drizzle. Okay, 15 minutes later, my granola bars are out of the freezer, and now I am going to melt a half cup of mini chocolate chips with a quarter cup chocolate chips, a half teaspoon of coconut oil. You can use vegetable oil, olive oil, it does not matter. And I'm going to microwave these. I'm going to start, probably about 30 seconds we'll do it just to get that melted together. And then I'm going to add it to my chocolate drizzler. And we'll make a little special treat on top of our granola bar. So just a few seconds. I'm going to give these a stir. A lot of times when you are melting chocolate chips, they will appear as if they're not melting. It is very important that you stir them because that heat will then pass from one chip to the next and they will begin to melt. So our chocolate drizzler is really, really cute, really fun thing. So this is its little stand. That way I'm not dripping chocolate everywhere if I'm not using it. And this holds about a tablespoon and a half of chocolate. So we'll have to refill a couple times. Let me check our chocolate chips. Oh, perfect. So I'm going to pull out the plunger and use our small silicone prep bowl that has the spout and pour in the chocolate to about the little finger grips. Come on. I'm nervous that the little drizzler is going to fall, that I'm going to bump it, and it's going to fall out of the holder. Let me turn it this way. Okay. Ooh. Stop. right, so then we take the plunger. And there we go. Now I can just drizzle. And it's so simple. It's a very fine point. So if I even wanted to spell out my child's name on here, I could do that. There we go. So I'm just going to do a little bit of drizzle along here. Now you could totally do this in white chocolate. These are semi-sweet mini chips. So I don't want it to be too sweet. Oh, I got a little happy there and I pressed way too hard. So if you're doing this with your little ones, you might want to be that guiding hand so that it's not shooting out a ton of chocolate like I am currently doing on this granola bar. I'm getting down toward the end. Oh, I almost have enough. I have a little bit more in my silicone prep bowl. So I'm going to pull that plunger back out. And it does a great job of getting that clean as it's going. I'm really impressed by that. All right, so I'll finish off. Whoops, got a little air in there. If you're using this chocolate drizzler to decorate something like a cupcake, I would recommend before you start drizzling onto your cupcake or your candy that you get some of that air out by doing this over wax paper. Another fun thing you can do with your little ones is put in some like strawberry or blueberry yogurt into the chocolate drizzler and let them practice spelling. Maybe that's a really good homeschool spelling activity. Spell their name. They can draw shapes. And if they do that onto wax paper on one of your cookie sheets or a sheet pan, stick that in the oven. No, the freezer. Stick that in the freezer. And then after, 30 minutes, get it really firm, then they'll have like a little frozen yogurt treat that spells their name. So I'm going to put the lid back on these. I'm going to clean up a little bit of my chocolate. I'm going to put the lid back on here, pop it back in the freezer. I'm headed out for a quick little walk around the university. So when I get back, these will be hardened. The chocolate will be set. And then I'm going to just lift them by the corner and pop them out. And if I need to, then I'll use my cute little spatula to serve these up. And then they're ready to go in a snack bag to take as I'm on the run. So thanks, guys, for watching. Let me know in the comments what some of your favorite granola ingredients are. Thanks. See you next time.